You're now entering the broadcast. Nurish broadcast, take one.
Welcome back to the podcast. Today I have Kawa to my left and I have Charles to my right. Kawa, give us a little introduction about yourself.
Yeah, man. Okay. So
We can get right into it.
Let's get into it.
yeah. So I guess in a nutshell, man, a lot of people don't know that I was born in Afghanistan. I'm Afghan. So that pretty much means I'm Muslim, primarily Afghans.
Practicing?
Afghans are Muslim. I don't practice, bro. I do believe in the religion, because it's part of the culture and a lot of it makes sense to me. But there's a lot of that religion that makes sense when I look at other main religions like Christianity and Judaism, you know. So I don't say I'm practicing, but I do believe in the religion. Just like I believe in Christianity and Judaism. As a Muslim, we're kind of required to believe in the Abrahamic religions. It would be a big hypocrisy if you say I believe in Islam and not the other two, because they're Abrahamic religions. So, but no, I'm not practicing. I do stuff with my family when I'm home because it's out of respect. You know what I mean? It's a culture thing again, out of respect for the elders. But on my own time, nah. I talk to God when I need to. I do it my way.
As it should
be.
be. Yeah. As it should be.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I make it make sense to me, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's where we're from, man. My family's from there, from Kabul, from the capital. Came here when I was little, about 3 years old. Back in '81, I believe, is when we moved to the States.
Oh wow. Right on.
I was about 3. My sister was like 1, maybe. We were gonna leave Afghanistan anyway, but we left. What expedited that process was my dad got killed fighting the Russians.
Oh shit.
So you guys remember
That was in the military?
Oh, he was a first lieutenant in the military.
Okay.
My grandfather, his father was a full-bird colonel.
Oh, wow.
And so when the Russians invaded back in '79, there's a lot of corruption in the Afghan military and also Afghan politics, because there's the Afghan Communist Party. If you guys know the history of that, basically they invited the Russians in.
Right.
So a lot of people went AWOL from the military and joined the Mujahideen, the freedom fighters back then, who they were called. And they fought the Russians that way. Well, he got killed during one of those battles or whatever, one of those firefights, and then we were like, we gotta get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
So we left in '81, and then we came here to the States. I grew up in Lincoln, Nebraska.
No shit.
Yeah. My what took us there was my oldest uncle was a foreign exchange student.
Oh, okay.
And so he went to college there, and then he was like, well, it's a good place, come here, right?
Yeah.
So we came there. I grew up there, man, went to high school, college, and after college, I joined the Marine Corps. I wanted to join the Marine Corps before college. My mom was about to disown me. So, her thing was like, go to college and then do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I went to college, and then, I joined the Marine Corps after that. I did about 5 years in the Marine Corps as an infantry guy, 0311. Went to the invasion of Iraq as a team leader, as a fire team leader. And then, by the time Fallujah came around in 04, I was a squad leader.
Wow.
And then, we did that whole thing, man. That was an intense deployment.
I bet.
It was intense, man, but it shaped who I am today. That deployment really kind of shaped my outlook on life, the military, a lot of things, it got me thinking about what I want to do with the rest of my career if I want to make it a career. My whole goal was really just to join the military for a few years and then get out, and like do something else. But I learned early on that I liked it. I liked being an infantry guy in the Marine Corps. I was good at it, and so I stuck around. But by the time we left Fallujah, and by the time I got out, I had 2 choices: re-enlist and go be a infantry school instructor for the new guys, or get out. And so,
how long were you in the military?
So I'm 19 years now ongoing.
Wow. You're still active?
No, I'm National Guard now.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, but technically I hit 20, so technically I'll hit 20 years next November.
Wow. That's a long time. That's a lot of stories, bro.
Yeah, man. So, but I left the Marine Corps because I wanted to do something bigger and better. MARSOC was just a rumor back then. It was either recon or force recon, and I didn't want to honestly try out for either one of those. I wanted to do something bigger and better. I knew that Green Berets and Navy SEALs got a bigger piece of the pie when it comes to missions, bigger scope of work.
Sure.
But I knew that Green Berets were like the all-around jack of all trades. SEALs have their missions and their mission sets, but it doesn't match what Green Berets do. You know what I mean? And so, and then again, MARSOC was non-existent. I wasn't gonna wait around. Yeah. So I got out, and then I went, into the Army, joined up, and as an infantryman actually. No shit. They had a 18 X-ray program, which is like basically your fast track to being SF, Special Forces. But I didn't take that. How
old were you when you joined the Army? Because you said you went to the Marines, right?
Yeah.
And then you re-upped in the Army.
Yeah, I re-upped. So I didn't re-up into the Army. I got out. I got an honorable discharge out of the Marine Corps, and then I enlisted into the Army.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So I enlisted, but I guess I re-upped in the military. You know what I mean?
Do a lot of people do that? They switch branches like that?
I didn't know until I got into the Army, man. I met a lot of Marine Corps dudes in the Army.
No way.
Yeah, and especially when I got in selection for SF, and then we went to the Q course, the qualification course in Fort Bragg. They would let the Marines still wear their combat patches. The Marine Corps, we don't have patches, but like in the Army, they have patches, combat in your unit on your left, right? So I saw all these dudes with like second Marine Division, 1st Marine Division patches on their right shoulders. I was like, what is that? I was like, I know what that is, but why are you wearing it? Yeah. And they're like, well, I was in the Marine Corps. I was like, oh, dope. Gotcha. So then I threw mine on. I went and got one. I threw mine on.
That's cool. So it was like a little club that you guys were.
I mean, it was, man. I mean, it was like a little bit of, like a head nod, like,
what's up, dude? I
see
you.
Yeah,
yeah.
But I was 26.
Oh, you were young, man.
I was 25 or 26.
You're super young.
Yeah.
So you joined the Marines when you were 18.
I joined the Marines when I was 20.
20. Okay, 26 Marines. Okay, Army. Cool.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So then I joined the Army when I think it was 25 or 26 when I joined the Army. And then we went to selection. Went to the Q course, graduated. I got my Green Beret, got assigned to 5th Group, and then I spent my entire time at 5th Group, man. And then, I left 5th Group a couple years ago, and then I got assigned to 19th Group, which is the National Guard SF unit. And they have a company here in Los Alamitos, not too far away from here. So that's who I'm with, man, and that's who I do my time with. When I got there, they didn't really require much of me. At first, they wanted to promote me to Master Sergeant and have me take a team, but I told them, I was like, dude, I'm deployed out. I'm schooled out. Like, I just want to chill out and ride out my time, to retire. And I'll help out wherever I can. These are my specialties. This is what I can do. But I don't want to take a team. It's not going to be really fair to anybody. I got too much stuff going on, man. So, but that's who I'm with, man. And, like I said, when they need me, I go in there and I help out with whatever it is. When this whole rioting thing happened, we got activated for about 2 weeks. Okay. And then so we went and did some stuff, and then we got back. But that was that's kind of like the military side of things. I got married early on, man. I think I got married right before I joined the Marine Corps.
Oh wow.
So we were married for a long time. And then we had 2 boys early on. Those boys are 15 and 13 now.
No way.
And then later on we had 2 girls. Those girls are 6 and 5.
Whipping them out, man.
I know.
I mean, man. She always wanted 4, and I was like, I came from a big family. I had like 6 uncles on one side and 4 aunts, and I was like, I like that, man, because
it's family.
When you grow up in that large family dynamic, there's there's so much love, so much support. You know what I mean? And I loved it growing up, and I was like, that's what I want for my kids. So, and then that's how it is, man. Yeah. But so we were married a long time, and then. All the time that I was in Special Forces, it took me away. Like my first 5 years in Special Forces, I was probably home 2 months out of the year.
Wow.
Between deployments and schools, you're just gone, man. Yeah. That's why they say in Special Operations, the divorce rate is so high. You're
just never there.
You're just never home, man. And in our case, we just kind of grew apart. We didn't just grow apart, but it was my fault. Like I take full responsibility for it. And that's because when I would come home, I didn't know how to turn that switch off.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Because like you're either constantly deployed or in school, so you're always in that mindset of like, you know, go, and you're in that work mode, and so when you come home, it's very hard for some dudes to switch that off.
Yeah.
You know, and that takes a toll, man. It takes a toll on your marriage, takes a toll on your kids, takes a toll on you. And you know, different guys deal with it in different ways, man. You either find healthy outlets or you find not so healthy outlets.
Yeah.
You know?
Seems like you're one of the few that was able to find not just a healthy outlet but a responsible outlet, because to me visually you look great. You know, you're still training.
Yeah, thanks,
you're,
man.
Yeah, you still your mindset's still there. A lot of people suffer from PTSD. I mean, rightfully so.
Yeah.
They just don't know how to deal with it, you know.
Yeah, PTSD is tough, man. It's even tougher when you're in special forces because you work so hard to get to that varsity team. You know, I mean, you're in selection. When you go to selection, you're one of out of 400 guys.
Right.
So you're competing for probably 100 spots with 400 dudes. Now,
tell me what that's like, though.
Selection.
That's so interesting. Yeah, selection. Like, how do you get to selections, and then how do you get chosen?
So selection is easy to get to. You just have to put in. You just have to go to the SF recruiter or whoever and say, "Hey, I want to sign up to go to selection." And so you sign a volunteer statement. Then you take that statement back to your unit. You give it to them, and they have to excuse you for when you go. So. Wherever you come from, you don't have to be an infantry guy. You can be a mechanic. You could be like water purification.
No
you
shit.
can
They
be
give opportunity
public
to
affairs.
everybody.
You can be anybody, but they give everybody an equal opportunity. Like you want to be a Green Beret, your background doesn't matter because when you do make it past selection, you spend 2 to 2.5 years getting trained up to be a Green Beret.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's why your prior experience doesn't really matter. However, prior experience is good because you bring that maturity, you bring that real life experience with you, and that mindset is a little bit better off than people that are coming off the street. But selection is so when you get to selection, you have to actually hike into selection, or what we call hump into selection. You know, so it's about an 8-mile hump.
Oh shit!
8-mile hike. You know, for civilians, for military people, 8-mile hump into selection with about 70 pounds on your back.
Wow,
and
that's crazy.
So you got to. Well, it's not. No, it's not an uphill. It's kind of like North Carolina is full of hills.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of the roads are not dirt; it's sand.
Oh,
you know
man.
What I mean?
Yeah, so it's just heavy.
It takes twice as long.
So it can kick your ass.
Yeah.
But I mean, granted, there's a lot of dirt roads, but like there's parts of selection, the area of this where selection is held, where it's just sandy, man. It's grueling. But you get there, you show with 500 or 400 dudes. The sergeant major there gives everybody a welcome brief. You know, they tell you like, hey, you know, you're here at selection for the next 24 days.
Gotcha.
You're going to go through a series of physical activities. Most of them are all individual effort. And that means like, I can't talk to you. I can't talk to you. You can't help me. I can't help you. Because later, the last week of selection called team week is when they put us all together. And you put in like little 12 to 15 man teams.
Gotcha.
And you do all the team events.
Gotcha.
But for the first 2 weeks, it's all individual effort.
Gotcha.
So, and you're timed and it's scored and you're assessed, and they don't tell you what the times are. They don't tell you like if you're doing well, if you suck.
Yeah.
You know, if you try to cut corners.
That's frustrating.
Oh yeah, because you just don't know.
Like, am I gonna make it? Am I gonna make it? Like,
yeah,
you know?
man. So I mean, you just go as fast as you can. You try as hard as you can.
Yeah.
You know, but they just don't tell you. They just assess you the whole time. Now, if you're trying to cut corners or cheat, they call you out. You know, but and that's a big ding. You know. But you get there, and like I would say the first 48 hours is complete shock and awe. I mean, they hit you with like 4 hours of log PT. You're picking up like an 900 pound log with like 8, 9 other dudes, and you're doing like bicep curls. And you're going shoulder to shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
You're doing squats, and then in between they make you put it down. You're doing flutter kicks and push ups, and like. You're doing that for 4 hours.
Do they make you do like lunges or anything too, or what?
I mean, they make you do anything you can do with a log.
Wow.
Right? And so they come around and they like look at dudes that are like not putting their, you know, pushing their weight. You know, they're not doing their part, and like they call them out. You know, and like dudes are just like. Some dudes are throwing up, and like you can't throw up in the pit. And if you throw up in the pit, they tell you to pick it up and put in your pocket.
Hey, that's some savage shit right there.
You know, like you can't spit. Like you know, you gotta like run out of the pit to throw up, and then come back.
Yeah.
And then once you're done with like the 4 hours of log PT, they hit you with 4 hours of rifle PT. So then you run out to this field, and then the group that's in the field comes to the log PT pit, and you run and you switch. So you like 200 dudes in this field with like these big rubber dummy rifles, you know, the rubber replicas. And you're just sitting there doing like squats, and you're lifting this rifle up and down, and like you're doing that for 4 hours, bro, in the hot sun. And, you know, it's just one event after another, you know, and so it's the first 48 hours is straight up shock and awe, man. And a lot of dudes drop out. And the thing with selection is if you voluntarily withdraw, if you say I'm done, they'll ask you 3 times, are you voluntarily withdrawing? And you say yes 3 times, they say cool, go, you know, and you're done. Get a freaking hot shower, hot bed, hot shower. Like, you're good, man. But you go back to your unit, you know, with your head down, like, hey, I quit. And then the other thing is if you quit, you can never come back.
Has there been instances where the guy doesn't quit, but he's just not doing good, man? Like, the officers know, like, this guy's going to get real hurt or whatever, you know what I mean? And they're like, yo, bro, you got to go.
They can't force you to leave. So you either quit or you get hurt, or you make it all the way past the 24 days, and then you get non-selected.
Oh, damn!
You know,
so that's the worst,
bro.
Yeah, man. So like, you know,
going through all that,
we went through the whole 24 days. I think 140 of us finished. Out of the 140, I think like 110 of us got selected, and the other 30 got non-selected. You know, but they were told, if you get non-selected or if you get injured, you can always come back. And the thing about getting non-selected is they tell you, like, hey, man, work on your land nav, work on your PT, work on this, and come back in 6 months, try again. You know, which is cool. Because some guys, they don't, man. They don't prepare physically for you know, selection before they come, or they don't brush up on their land navigation with map reading and compasses and plotting. They don't, maybe it's just their attitude or their mindset, you know, and they tell you like, hey, work on this, come back. But we got 110 of us got selected. And then what happens after selection is they bundle you with another selection class. So you got roughly about 200 to 200, maybe 50 people. I forget like our qualification course, our Q course group, I think we were right over 200. And then you go through like 2 to 2.5 years, depending on what job you pick. Like if you're a weapons guy, commo guy, or an engineer, it's about 2 years. If you're a medic, it's 2.5 years because they make you do 3 month rotationals at hospitals, and you're sitting there treating trauma wounds, shotguns, you know, whatever. So it's a little bit longer for medics, but in those 2 years, there's a lot of phases that you have to pass, and you get one recycle, you know. So there's a lot of tests, a lot of gates, a lot of like evaluations, a lot of peer evaluations, like your own dudes are peering you, like, hey, this guy is good, he's not, you know. And then there's some academic failures, but there's also some physical dropouts, you know, just people that quit, you know. And like, but most of them just don't make it, man. You know, you get that one recycle and they can't do it or whatever. By the time we graduated 2 years later, our class, we were 37 dudes.
No way.
Yeah.
So if you look at the big picture, it's 37 dudes were Green Berets out of 800. You know,
that's nuts.
And they put you through that rigorous training because they want to make sure that you're physically and mentally ready for battle, right? At any given time, anywhere.
You know, they take like this full spectrum soldier aspect, like this concept, you know, that's how they look at it. And I mean, obviously being physically fit is good, you know, being mature in age and life experience is good, but they really want somebody who has a good attitude, who's coachable, who wants to learn, who's humble.
I love that.
You know, that's what they want, because if you're that type of person, just like on the range when I teach, if you're that type of person coming into my class, you are going to leave that class with so much more than the person that comes in thinking like, oh, dude, I know how to shoot. Like, I'm not going to listen to Kawa. You know, you're going to be so much better. You know what I mean? And that's what they're looking for. They're looking for that kind of dude that's just like a sponge and he'll soak it up, and he's humble and he's a great man and he has a good head on his shoulders. He just, you know, and he's not going to step on his dick and get in trouble, you know? So
throwing in some jokes. I like that.
You know, but like, that's what they're looking for, man. If you're that kind of guy, then you're far better off than, you know, and there's dude, all kinds of people come to selection from all different walks of life with all kinds of mindsets and attitudes. I mean, I saw the biggest, strongest dudes crumble, man. They just didn't have the heart. They didn't have the mindset. And I saw like scrawny ass dudes, way skinnier than I was back then, just push through, man. Just push through with all the heart. And they got selected, you know. And he might be a tiny dude or whatever, but you know, there's, I mean, he's probably gonna be a good Green Beret one day, you know. But yeah, so selection's tough, man. And like the best advice I was getting for selection was take it one event at a time. Take care of your feet at night before you go to bed.
That's a big one.
You know, and
how did you take care of your feet at night?
So you're doing you are constantly, you get 3 hours of sleep at night. You barely get any food. You get a lot of water because they don't want people, you know, to pass out or whatever. But like your feet get a bunch of hot spots. You could get blisters if you don't bring comfortable shoes. Like you don't bring new shoes or new boots to selection. You bring like the most broken in comfy boots that you have. Yeah. But even then, walking in that sand, up and down terrain, you know, it creates hot spots. So if you notice that you have a hot spot, then you need to take some of that moleskin and apply it around that hot spot so there is no more friction. And, you know, keep it takes, so you're putting a little bit of padding around that hot spot so that there's no contact with the boot, you know what I mean? So it doesn't turn into a blister.
Yeah.
But sometimes, you know, when you're doing something for 4 or 5 hours, it can easily go from hot spot to blister, you know? So if you get that at night, like what I did at night, a couple of minutes before I went to bed was I would sit there and massage my feet. You know, I would obviously check it for hot spots or blisters. If I had a blister, I would take a needle and thread and I would poke it through. And then I would leave that thread in there overnight so it kept draining, you know. Otherwise, it closes up, you know. So it just drains overnight, and I just air my feet out. Like I would take them under the covers or out of the covers. And just air them out, man. And baby powder the fuck out of my socks, my boots, and my feet, and massage them, you know, and just check. And that was it. Took me 5 minutes. Yeah. But... And then just one event at a time, man. And then obviously, you know, be able to ruck like 4 or 5, ideally 5 miles with 70 pounds. So you're doing like, you know, roughly 12-minute miles. And then just have like an 8-minute mile run, you know. And so when guys ask me like, hey, what's the advice you can give me for selection? I give them those 4 or 5 things. I'm like, dude, everything else is your mindset. Just don't quit. Don't quit. You know what I mean? Yeah. So.
Man, did you ever think to yourself at any point, like, damn, I volunteered for this shit?
Oh, yeah.
What? Where am I? I chose this. Like,
probably. I mean, several times a day, every day for those 24 days. I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? You know, is this what I really, like, what am I getting myself into? Am I over my head? Like, what, am I too old for this? Like, you know, and that goes through your mind every time you're at that point where you're just like, I can't do it, you know?
It's amazing what your body and your mind is capable of, though, as long as you're committed.
It is.
Because you said something that was really important. I say it around here all the time to my sales team, which is as long as you don't quit, you're going to win. You know, and then winning is just a personal thing, man. It's a personal thing. That's subjective. But as long as you stay in the game, you're going to make it. If you don't quit, we don't have quitters around here.
Yeah, you know? I mean, quitting. If you never quit, man, you're automatically a winner.
Yes.
Right. Your progression of winning is on you.
Right.
But like quitting, if you have that mindset where you're just like, I can't do it, okay, then you're gonna stick with that mindset for the rest of your life, unless somebody dramatically changes your life. But it all starts with your mindset, like you said. Your body, your mind is a crazy thing, right? Because your mindset can lead your entire body, or it can break your body down.
Absolutely.
But I read something interesting a long time ago from an SF guy that wrote a book. And he said, by the time your mind quits, your body is only exhausted about 30% of its physical capability. You know, so your mind is crazy because in your mind, you're like, I can't do it. Your body's like, bro, I got 70% left.
Yeah.
You know, I got 70% left.
I'm
gonna steal that.
You know,
yeah, for sure.
But at the same time, if your mindset is right, and you're like, it sucks, I'm sucking right now, but I'm gonna push through this. Your body's gonna follow. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if your mindset quits, then your body's going to follow.
Right.
You know, because your mind is driving the train.
For sure.
So that's, you know, that's why I preach mindset so much, man. You know, mindset, that's like your physical kind of don't quit mindset. But there's mindset that applies to so many aspects of our life when it comes to situational awareness, when it comes to training on a range, when it comes to the stuff you guys do here. You know, any kind of technical skill or trade craft, it applies to everything. That's why I preach mindset so much, man. But yeah, I mean, that's what it is. And the guys that come in there with the right mindset are the ones that probably will get selected. You know,
I mean, just hearing you speak, it's amazing to hear all the things that you went to in the military. And then I start to think, because I met you before I met you, I already knew of you. because anybody in the 2A community knows who Kawa is, kind of basically.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when I met you, it was the first CQB class. Oh my God, dude, that class is so humbling in the sense where, like, everything you think you knew, like when you do CQB, you're a child again. Not even below. If there was a level below a child, that's what you're at, because everything that you taught in that course was just didn't even think about.
Yeah.
So where I'm going with this is like, hearing you speak about all these different trainings that you had, and you know, the partial career that you're sharing with us in your military. I can only imagine like what you think of when you teach guys like us, you know, in these 1 or 2 day classes, you know.
I'm not one of those guys that, as we call it in the military, like a tap protector.
Yeah.
You know, in SF we say, you know, there's some guys that are tap protectors.
Yeah.
They're the ones that say, well, you know, I don't want this dude being a Green Beret because, you know, he sucks or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
I've always been like an empowering guy, man. I've always been an inspirational guy. Like when I talk to regular soldiers throughout my career and they see me with the Green Beret or that Special Forces on my shoulder, they automatically just give me a lot of respect.
Sure.
And they look up to me just from those two visuals.
Yeah.
You know, but then when they come up to me, you know, some of them are nervous. They feel like they can't approach a Green Beret. But like the ones that do and they ask questions, I tell them I don't even know them, man. Like I don't know if they're a shitbag or if they're a stellar soldier or whoever.
Yeah.
But I'm like, dude, go to selection. Go to selection, better yourself. You know, I don't know what you do. I don't know your record, your reputation, but go do something better than what you're doing.
Right.
You know, and I say that and I take that same mindset and approach to my students who are civilians, who are cops, who are whoever, prior military. Same approach, man. Like for my classes, that CQB class that you came to, those 2 days, is that something a civilian can really use? Not really.
It depends.
not really in their daily life.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if the shit hits the fan, and you know, every kind of dude in the 2A community has their little squad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We have our guys that we like to train with.
Yeah.
And like, if if the shit hit the fan and you guys linked up, you can definitely apply that. You know, you can do it to an active shooter situation or whatever situation. But, you know, the chances of you having to use that are the same chances of you having to draw your gun and shoot somebody. So I shouldn't be the one that dictates what you are allowed to learn, you know. And if I had that mindset, I wouldn't be putting these classes on in the first place.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a lot of value when it comes to CQB. CQB is a monster, right? I mean, it is a monster.
What is CQB?
Close quarter battle.
Yeah,
okay.
Close quarter battle.
Educate me, sorry.
Some people say CQC, which is close quarter combat. They're kind of different, but kind of the same.
Okay.
All right. But CQB is a monster, man. Like room clearing, you know, being able to clear this floor. That it takes years to learn. It takes even more years to like master. You know, I'm not by far a CQB master. You know, I will make mistakes for sure. But I think that when people come to this class and within the first few hours, they're like,
it's so humbling.
It's kind of like, you know, you were asking me, like, did you have that moment where you're like, what did I get myself into? A lot of people have that moment, you know, even on day 2, man, when we ramp up stuff and we start throwing off forward in those lanes, you know, like, they're like, oh shit.
I just kept thinking, like, if this was for real, I'd be dead.
It's crazy.
Like,
I mean,
seriously, bro.
CQB is one of those skill sets where the good guys always have the disadvantage. Because if you think about it, we're going to somebody's house. We're going to somebody's backyard. We're going into a building that the bad guys know the layout of. They know the nooks and the crannies, and they know where the good spots and bad spots, you know, the vantage points versus the disadvantage point. We're going in there for the first time, getting eyes on for the first time.
Yeah.
So we just got to fall back on our foundational principles of how we would take stuff down, you know. But the bad guys are always going to have the one up, man. They know those little nooks and corners where they can stick a barrel out and shoot people. So we're always at a disadvantage. In a real CQB environment, it's very hard to say that everyone is going to come out of there unscathed. You know, you're going to get at least one dude shot.
I remember you saying that.
You know,
I remember you saying that,
if not worse.
Yeah.
You know, but the thing is that everybody knows what their job should be. You know, we try to, in a CQB stack, everybody should be on the same level of operational comprehension and execution. And so if everybody's there, then regardless of if the one man goes down, you know, or the 2 man goes down, everybody else is going to go in and fill that gap real quick, you know. And so we're gonna take those bad dudes out.
Yeah.
But it comes at a cost.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like a normal firefight on the street or in a desert where we can like have wider, you know, we have a lot more room to maneuver and we can flank and we can do like infantry style tactics, you know, we can call for support or air support or whatever. It's different. Yeah, it's different, man. But I love it, you know, but I love it, man. Like, you know, when I was teaching at SFAUC in 5th group, and SFAUC stands for Special Forces Advanced Urban Combat. That's a course that Green Berets go to. I would say that it's probably the second highest tier course in the Army for shooting and tactics. Wow. And the first one is at Fort Bragg. And so when people come to that course, they get 2 weeks of flat range, which is live fire on the flat range, you know, pistol, rifle, advanced pistol, rifle, low light stuff. And then we spend about 2 weeks in the house doing CQB. And we start with live rounds because we go very slow at a infant's pace. I mean, even though they're Green Berets, we teach them at the same level as kind of we taught, you know, CQB when you came through, Charles. And like, it's very slow, very deliberate. And then when they ramp up and they kind of get comfortable with it, and we can see some team cohesion and chemistry, and they're working together, we take away their live fire barrels and we give them blue barrels. We give them sim barrels because now we know they're going a little bit faster. We have less control. The leash is a little bit longer. You know, we let them go, and so we don't want to create a training accident. Right. So we give them blue barrels, and then we introduce OP4. So we put bad guys in there in their lanes to shoot back, and like it's all, you know, it's a culmination of trying to get to a place where they can become good.
I remember when you did that, when you put the bad guys in the rooms, and the only thing I can think of is like when I was getting shot at, I was like, oh shit, man. I think all the training that I learned that day went out the window. I was like, it's just me. Like, it's every man for himself right now. Because even though we're shooting like, you know, airsoft BBs, it just gives you that feeling though, of like the anxiety going through that door. Like, who's this dude? Where is he at? Where's he? You know what I mean? It's just it's crazy, man.
Yeah, it is crazy, man, and like when you're on the good guy side, you know, when you're the good dude, like at least you know, like, okay, I have other assaulters with me. Like they have my back, you know. We talk about opposing threats, you know what I mean? He's got that angle covered, so I don't have to worry about it. I got this angle covered. You got each other's back. You know. And so, but even so, knowing that you're going through this lane and there's 3-4 bad dudes, you're just like, oh. Shit gets real, right?
It gets real. It gets real.
It gets real quick.
For sure.
You know, and then we see people just brain dump stuff. And they don't brain dump it because they can't retain it. They brain dump it because they're overwhelmed.
Yeah, exactly.
They're completely out of their comfort zone. You know, we put them in this environment, we're just like, go. You know? And so they're just like, oh my God. But it's cool because when one person has a brain fart, he looks around really quick and he sees his other buddies doing stuff and he's like, okay, I got it. I'm gonna get back into my you know what I mean? So he kind of like picks up where he kind of dropped off. Right. Now, did I make you out for that day?
Oh yeah,
you get a turn?
Yeah, you did.
So then as out for, you know, you can see how you have a freedom of movement. You know what I mean? You don't have any like not really any tactics, like you don't play by the rules. So you can like, I tell you guys, hey, go here and do this and then go there and do that. And because I want you to stress you know, the assaulters out. But as a bad guy, you have freedom of movement, rules. You can do whatever you want.
For sure.
But then when you think about it, you're like, holy shit, I got 14 dudes coming at me right now. It's scary.
That was. So the first 2 guys came to the door, you know, I'd fire at them, but then it would just be a swarm of dudes. And then you get that feeling like, oh shit, dude, you're trying to make yourself as small as possible, you know? And of course I get tagged, but at the same time, I mean, it puts you in a mindset too of like, man, if this was real, I'd be dead for sure. You know? Well, I mean, another thing too is the reason why I wanted you here too is because I didn't realize how good of a trainer you were until the last course, which is the low light. I've taken a lot of classes with a lot of people. Your instructions were easy to understand, but applicable too. So I was like, I want Kawa to come here and talk about how, you know, all the things he's been through and all that stuff. But on top of that, you know, I wanted to showcase all this knowledge that you've gained through the military. And this is not a trick question, by the way. I always think to myself, like, why aren't law enforcement more willing or able, or I don't know what other word I can put, but force themselves to train like how, I guess I'm a civilian, how civilians train, you know, because they have access to people like you. But more or less, there are law enforcement in our groups from time to time.
Yeah.
But I just can't help to think, like, why wouldn't they want themselves to progress and continue their training throughout their career?
Just continue to elevate.
Because before you answer that question, the reason why I say it is because, again, they have people like you that are very capable to train. But from what I've understood, the people in the police academy, they go through the academy, they get selected into a police department, and then I don't know if they really actively train or even let alone shoot.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to preface this with I'm not law enforcement and I've never been law enforcement. And I don't know all the intricate details of the law enforcement hierarchy or their structure or where their budget allocations are.
Right.
But, when we think about LAPD,
yeah,
LAPD is a huge organization.
Huge.
Right?
Huge.
And like obviously you have LAPD Beverly Hills and you have LAPD Torrance and
Sure.
and like even though they say it's Torrance PD, I mean, or Beverly Hills PD, it's still pretty much LAPD.
LAPD, yeah.
But they do have different pots of money. You know what I mean? Like Torrance has their own pot of money because it's a city, right? And Beverly Hills is a city, so they have their own pot of money. Now, when it comes to budget, a lot of, from what I've gathered from all the law enforcement people that I've trained and talked to, is that their budget doesn't allow for it. They don't have enough money. For example, LAPD, I think, has 9,000 officers.
Wow.
LAPD, right? Just LAPD, not Torrance, not Beverly Hills, just LA proper, LAPD. I think has 9,000 officers. Yeah. So in my head, when I think about that, I don't know how much money LAPD has. I'm assuming they have a lot. But how much money do you need to proficiently and on a level of maintenance train 9,000 officers and keep them trained? You know what I mean?
Right.
And
how do you standardize that?
And then how do you standardize that? And how do you make time for that? Like I don't know the structure, right? Because I don't know what kind of hours they work. I think they work like 4 on 3 off or 5 on 2 off. I don't know, man. Yeah. But the dudes that the dudes that probably have a little more flexibility there is like they're SWAT guys. Yeah. They're special tactics guys. Yeah. But as an LAPD officer, I'm pretty sure you have shitty hours for one, right? But then you work a lot of hours. Yeah. And then when you are off, do you really want to like go to a range and train? If you're already living that life, and you've done that, you work, I don't know, 30, 40 hour shifts or whatever, and you finally get a day off, it's tough, man. You just want to do your thing. Yeah. But when you are at work, I think that the requirement is they get like 1 range day a month or maybe a couple range days a month. Right. And even when they get that range day, they just do a qual. Right. Or they requal like pistol. Yeah. That's like maybe 50 rounds.
Yeah. It's nothing.
That's nothing, man.
It's nothing.
But so what they're doing in my mind is they are catering to the lowest denominator, and they are checking that lowest level box that they can. Absolutely. Because I don't know if they're doing it because they don't want to spend the money to train their guys, or I don't know if they're doing it because they don't have the money to train their guys. Whereas LAPD SWAT, when they go to a range and I go to a range with those guys, they come out with thousands and thousands of rounds, man. Yeah. Yeah. And we have rounds left over when the day is done, and we shoot a lot. Yeah. But they have that flexibility because they're special tactics, right? Yeah. And their pot of money is maybe a little bit different, or maybe they have an extra pot of money. Who knows? Right. So I think for cops, and I think generally speaking around the U.S., around this country, is that's kind of like the pretty much like the theme for police officers. Yeah. Now there are some smaller PDs, there are some sheriff's departments, and sheriff's departments are always going to be a little bit smaller. And I don't know what their pot of money is or what their budget is, but I know that the guys that take that aspect of their job, the shooting skill, whatever. Just let's talk about firearms for a second. I think those guys, they do spend their days off on the range. They do make the most out of their range days for work. I know when I go up to Mike's place, Knockout Lights, and we have SWAT dudes coming up there all the time. They train with us. And I talk to those guys all the time. I talk to LAPD SWAT all the time. I talk to Torrance PD a lot when I was in Torrance. And a lot of them take pride in just that aspect of the job. They're like, I carry this gun, but I want to get good with it. And I know that 100 rounds a month doesn't do shit for me. Doesn't do that. So they go buy money, or they go buy ammo out of their own pocket, and they go to a range whenever they can, and they train. And ever since I came to LA, I've been doing more and more range days with officers. And I'm not charging these guys, so like I'm doing I'm doing like free range days. And recently, you guys know who Mike Glover is at Fieldcraft?
I've heard of
Fieldcraft Survival.
Yeah.
Good dude, man. SF guy, longtime SF guy. But, you know, he's a really good person in our community, like a real stand-up guy, right? And, you know, he's been doing free training for law enforcement guys for a long time. And now he's trying to get a lot of us involved, too.
That's
so
dope.
What he's trying to do is he's trying to raise money to get us paid to teach these guys for free, so it's not coming out of their budget, out of their pockets. But, you know, I told Mike, I was like, dude, you don't got to raise money to pay me, man. I'll just go do it. You know, like a day out of my time to go train on the range with these guys or just go train them up on some stuff is not a lot. Plus, when I'm on the range, I don't feel like I'm working anyway. You know, I feel like I'm just out there with the boys teaching and shooting and having a good time. So that's what we're trying to do, man. But like, I think to answer your question, that a lot of people would just look at it like, why don't they train more? You know, it's like we have to. That's like surface level. That's a surface level question, and you have to. If you really want to understand why these guys don't have more training, then really take a hard look. Get to know them. One, get to know their works, their op tempo.
Yeah.
But that's just firearms. I think that officers, police officers, and the police in the LEO community needs training and other stuff more than they need training in just firearms. They need training in cultural awareness. They need better outreach programs. You know, they need to get in touch with their community. And one town that does that so well, and they're loved for it, is Torrance. The city of Torrance loves their police department. They love their officers. In fact, so much that every year they put a parade on for them.
No shit.
Yeah. Every year, man. There's a parade for the Torrance PD every year.
Yeah.
Because the Torrance PD has such a good outreach program, they're always going and talking to their communities, the neighborhoods, good or bad, whatever, you know, ghetto or bougie, whatever you want to call it. They spend the time to go get to know those people. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's important.
It's a great quality.
And those people, regardless of race, religion, or wherever, take the time to get to know the officers. And they don't, you know, now they become first name basis. You know, they go to the businesses, they go to the residents, they talk. They have outreach. Their outreach program is amazing. And I have so much respect for those guys, you know, and the town shows their love for these guys. Not just by a parade, but also they get so many calls. I mean, the city of Torrance will dime each other out. It's crazy. That's like one of the cops there told me that the city of Torrance will literally dime each other out. Like in some towns, like you'll see a crime happening or something shady. You're like, I'm not getting involved. But in the city of Torrance, like they call, you know, it's like almost neighborhood watch, man. They have this network. They have this network of normal people that are like, hey, this guy doesn't belong.
Sure.
So then, you know what I mean?
Like
they work together.
As it should be.
As it should be.
As it should be.
And so I think so for police officers, there's a lot of training that needs to happen for sure. You know, we look at current events and there is such a hate and discontent for police officers. But I think most of that is because just due to ignorance. You know, people look at isolated events and they try to make it a pattern, or people look at something and they try to blanket statement that. You know what I mean? And what happened to George Floyd and some of these other guys are obviously tragedies. Right? And it could have been avoided. And there are definitely bad cops out there. Let's get that straight. All right? Just like there's bad Green Berets out there. There's guys that make it, they fall through the cracks, man. They make it somehow.
Just bad apples.
And they wear that uniform, they put that beret on, whatever, whoever. There are bad ones out there. And obviously, not being a cop, I'm looking from an outside in. I think obviously there needs to be reform in the way they police their own, the standards for one, and then just the you know, I guess, you know, the punishments or the standards that they hold themselves up to, not just from training but also conduct. Right? These guys are professionals. Yes, we pay them. We pay their salaries. Yes, they work for us, but that doesn't mean we control them, and it doesn't mean we dictate how they should be.
Right?
You know, because they have a job to do. They're the ones that keep us safe. I mean, we're kind of jumping around a little bit, but like look at Atlanta, right? Minneapolis, Seattle, those places where you took the cops out of there. I mean, look at what's happening in Atlanta. Bro.
That's the most ridiculous thing anybody's thought of defunding. It's the most ridiculous, most retarded thing. Not even that shouldn't even be a part of the conversation. Like what you just said is pure ignorance, right? However, I think you're right, which is police officers are by nature our first responders. SWAT team, I feel like they owe to themselves to have a higher level of proficiency because, I mean, that's SWAT. You're pretty badass. Sure. But SWAT doesn't show up when you call. A local police officer comes up when you call. And he doesn't have... Because I keep going back to people like yourself, when you were in the military, were the ones that kept us safe overseas, right? So the war wouldn't come here. And look at all the level of training you guys went through to figure that out. I guess what I was, it's frustrating because this defunding the police has no value in any conversation. But then again, the opposite is true, which is we need more funding, like you said, more funding, much more funding for our first responders. It's not just shooting; it's the mentality, like you said.
Agreed.
That's what it is.
Agreed. And I think that I don't like it when people throw these blanket hashtags or I don't know, mottos or whatever you want to call them, like Black Lives Matter, right? Defund the police, right? Those are all
stupid, dude.
Like, if your goal is for Black Lives Matter, if your goal is to bring us together and you want us to take a closer look at Black lives, then don't isolate yourselves,
right?
And there's a lot of arguments there, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that Black Lives Matter is bad, but I think there's aspects and there's a certain mental aspect of Black Lives Matter that is bad and is dividing us more than it's uniting us. And when you look at defund the police, it's the same thing. At first, when people came up with defund the police, that's exactly what they meant. They exactly meant take the money away from the cops. And they even went as far as saying dismantle the police, disband the police.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah. But then they see what's happening in Minneapolis, Seattle, and Atlanta, and they backpedal and they're like, no. We meant, when we said defund the police, we just meant take money out of their budget and reallocate that budget into the cities. Okay. So what you're saying is you're complaining that cops don't get enough training and they're not trained enough, and they, but at the same time, you want to take money away from them so they can train less.
Yeah. You keep changing the
makes
narrative.
very little sense.
Yeah, it makes no sense, right?
Yeah.
And people are like, no. We want a piece. All we want is to reallocate some of those funds into the cities. Okay, but why take it away from the cops? Why take it away from the ones that are protecting you? Right?
Exactly.
Even like you have these incidents, the isolated incidents where like innocent people are dying. George Floyd, regardless of what his background was, the man died.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that the budget should come from the police department.
Correct.
There's a lot of other pots of money in a town's budget where you can pull from to put back into the community. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of organizations outside and before Black Lives Matter came that does exactly that. Where are those organizations? You know what I mean? I mean, when a city when a city council sits down every quarter and they look at their budget, they look at their expenses, they look at what's left over. They're the ones that sit there and make the choices for, should we put money into schools, roads, cops, where, you know what I mean? It's like, that's where the money should come from. But the whole defund the police thing, to me, is it's ridiculous. It's just a knee-jerk reaction.
It is. It really is. I mean, I didn't really understand the type of lifestyle and or stress that law enforcement goes through until I started training with you guys and people like you guys. Because when you hold a gun in your hand, it's a very powerful thing. You can take a life and you have to be responsible for it. Sometimes I think the people like the city council people that you talk about, they don't come from that point of view.
No.
They come from obviously a political point of view, trying to please everybody, but they don't understand the stress levels that law enforcement, even first responders like firefighters go through. Even teachers, man. Even teachers nowadays, they don't get paid enough.
No,
they
don't.
If any, not to go off track, but if this COVID thing has taught us anything, they've taught us that the school systems is a big daycare. Because now that the parents don't have anybody to watch them during the day, they can't do anything. They have to stay home and watch their kids.
Watch their kids. But I mean, this whole COVID thing has woken us up to a lot of little things in our life and in our society. Good and bad. Like a lot of us learned that we can actually be as productive from home as we can from the office.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? A lot of us, that's why these video apps and like who is it, like GoTo and excuse me, Zoom, and that's why their stocks are freaking skyrocketing because a lot of people are using it. But in the bad side, it's also shown us that as a society, we need that social aspect of our life because a lot of people that have been isolated in their homes or closed because they can't go to work or they can't go, be a patron of that business or whatever, they're seeing that, that sucks. And they're getting a taste of what it's like in third world countries where people don't have the freedom of movement. They don't have those freedoms. and all of a sudden people are like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, but even so, they still don't appreciate it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we can get into like conspiracy theories or whatever, like different, theories of like where COVID came from or why COVID is here, and this and that. But I think that we're going to come out of COVID a lot stronger as a society. Like people are hopefully going to realize that, they should be better prepared, right? Like when that whole toilet paper thing happened. I don't even know where that started. To this day, I don't know where that started, right? But it caused this panic of being prepared.
Yeah.
And like people were like, oh shit, I need canned goods.
Yeah.
I need water. I need essentials. I need med supplies. I need this. And like I told everybody that would listen to me, like, hey, make sure you have at least 2 weeks of supplies in your house.
Yeah.
Because the next thing that's going to come down after a shutdown is straight up martial law.
Right.
Yeah.
And if martial law is declared, no one leaves anywhere. You get caught outside, man. You fucking, you know what I mean? I don't know what that is. Like it's probably at least a misdemeanor, maybe something else. But like you might get arrested. Who knows? But like have a 2 week supply of all this stuff that you need. And just live your life that way, man. So hopefully people come out of this like, maybe I should put some stuff in the pantry and just keep it there.
Yeah.
Put some extra water in the garage or something.
Yeah, I think so.
And then obviously we saw the gun craze.
Yeah,
everybody
man.
buying up guns and ammo. And
There's like 2 million guns sold in May.
That's insane.
It's crazy, bro.
That's insane.
crazy.
Which is good. Obviously, as coming from a 2 alpha, a 2A mindset, looking at that, it's good.
Yeah.
Obviously, we want more people to exercise that right. But at the same time, now you got 2 million new gun owners.
They don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Or at least maybe they had guns before.
Yeah.
But like you have 2 million. If we look at it like none of them own guns, you have 2 million people that own guns now, and they need training, they need education. But that's also 2 million guns that can get stolen. You know what I mean? If they're not
there's
taking,
a lot of variables to look at.
if they're not locking it up.
Yeah.
But it seems, and the negative, another negative aspect is if you don't have that firearms education, if you don't have a locking device, your kid gets a hand on that gun.
Absolutely.
You're not even educated on guns, but how are you going to educate your kid on guns? And he gets a hold of that because it's not locked up and now accidents happen. It just makes us look like a shitty community.
Yeah.
It works against us.
Yeah.
So it's great that you're buying 2 million guns, but now spend money to get the training and education behind it, the safety behind it, and then, spread that to the community. So there's pros and cons to everything, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, one of the things I think the month of, May, I said 2 million guns being sold. Now, I feel like they kind of understand what it's like to own a gun and the process, at least in California, to buy a gun. It's just it's a pain in the ass, man.
Bro, it's so
I hope
funny.
they get kicked in the butt with that. And they were like, oh, wait. Because I had some buddies call me and was like, yo, man, I want to get a gun. First, what should I get? And two, how can I get it? Can I get it the same day? I was like, nah, man. First, you got to go there. You make sure it's available. Then, the whole thing, 10 days. 10 days? What you mean 10 days?
Man.
Oh, yeah.
My process was crazy because I went and got one in April, and I'm barely picking it up on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's like the waiting process was crazy.
Bro,
but
it's so funny.
They're like, what do you mean I can't get it the same day?
It's so funny because I have a lot of friends who are liberals, man.
Yeah.
I have some roots in this town, and so I have a lot of friends. Most of them are liberals, but like because I'm their friend and because I talk to guns about them all the time, at least from a 2A stance, they are more supportive.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's funny when this whole thing happened because same questions. They're like, yo, I want to get a gun. I don't know what to get, but how do I get it? And I'm like, this is what you got to do. Yeah. And they hit me back, like, same thing, right? 10 days? Like, I got to wait 10 days? And so I'm just like, this is too easy. I take that opportunity to be like, you voted for it. Oh, we got to wait 10 days because you supported that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So next time you think about, a gun control bill, you need to fucking vote against it.
Said too.
Advocate against it. And you won't have to wait 10 days, but like, or because of the ammo, I got to do a background check for ammo. Like, yeah. Cause like people like you voted for that,
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, man, it was crazy. So a lot of people bought guns, man. A lot of my friends who are liberals bought guns.
Yeah.
But it's also good because I feel like it's a good segue to get them into the community.
Well, that too, but they get to stand on their own, misguided principles when they called me and were like, fuck, I gotta get a gun, bro. I was like, oh yeah, now you want to get a gun, huh? Now you want to get one. Yeah. All right, this is how you do it. But I'm saying like they get to stand on that.
Yeah.
Because like what you said, you voted for that, you chose that.
Yeah.
Now look at you.
Yeah.
And this was obviously due to the hype of the pandemic. They're like, oh my god, everybody's freaking out, like, oh my god, lines around the block. And they're like, oh shit, dude, 10 days. Yeah. I mean, it's always interesting to see that. The point I was going was, it's always interesting to see that when shit really does hit the fan, that your ego goes out the door, man. It's all about you and your family and how you protect them. Yeah. And so really the real 2A community, that's what it's about.
Right.
You know, it's frustrating when they paint it. I've said this before. It's frustrating when they paint us out to be like these weird wackos shooting guns, having like, 100 guns at the house and, redneck dudes driving around just,
gun toting.
It's frustrating because most of the guys that I know are like you, really well educated, articulate individuals. I mean, new gunner was like that. He's not some thug or some gangster. He's just he's this dude's pretty much like my brother. He wants to protect himself, possibly his family, and that is the real misconception of 2A. I mean, there are some weirdos out there in 2A that give us a bad name.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
But
the majority is, I would like to say on record that that's not us. It's not who we are.
It comes down to the law of averages, man. That goes for anything. People say, why are there more deaths in America than any other country? Have you seen the size of America? Like, when's the last time you looked at the population of America? That is the law of averages. You know what I mean? Or people die more by guns than this and that. First of all, that's not true. We know that's not true. But even so, when you have this many people that own guns in a free country, then by just the law of averages will tell you that, yes, you're going to have gun-related incidents. And for the people that really know the 2A community, or at least understand it, also understand that we're against those type of people, those gun-toting fucking
absolutely
ignorant assholes that just make us all look like an asshole as a community.
For sure.
We're against those guys. And we would love nothing more for those guys to not own guns. Because just like being a cop or a military guy or a doctor, not everyone's cut out to be that. Yeah. Not everyone's cut out to have a gun. You have that right, but that doesn't mean that everyone should have the ability to execute it. And I'm not by any means saying that we should offer gun control or there should be some type of gun control. No, not so whatsoever. But there are some people that are not in the right mindset to own a gun. You know what I mean? Just like there are some doctors that should not be doctors.
Yeah, straight up.
I mean, malpractice is like the leading cause. After cancer, malpractice is like the leading cause of deaths.
I believe it.
In this country.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And so, good God, man, like...
Hold on. Let's not brush over that real quick. Isn't that amazing that malpractice is the second leading cause of death? Because my friend, who's a very good friend of mine, she's an OR nurse. Used to be at Hoag, and you think Hoag has a lot of good doctors, and she goes, man, there's some doctors there, bro, that if you need a surgery, you got to hit me up first. I'll let you know which ones that can operate on you, because there's a lot of them that are just fucking shit. I was like, no way. What the fuck? Isn't that amazing?
But it's scary. The same. I mean, it all comes back to the law of averages, man. Like, there are so many doctors in this country, but if you look at the way people can become doctors, there's a lot of gray area there, right? I mean, I've heard of people going to Guam, or people going to South America, or going to some other foreign country to get that certification, and they come back here and finish it out. And now they're all of a sudden they're MD.
That's a hack.
You know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying that they're not good doctors because they took that route. But I'm saying that the standards, just like any other, just like cops, just like SF guys, the standards are not where they should be, and the monitoring or whoever's enforcing those standards are not enforcing them like they should be. If a doctor, in my opinion, if a cop shoots a bad guy, or excuse me, if a cop shoots a person that was not a bad guy, he should no longer be a cop. Right. Now, if you kill that person, not only should you not be a cop, but you should probably go to jail. Right? Because what makes his murder any different from a civilian who committed murder? Right. For sure. But that's not the way they look at it. Right. And there could be a lot that goes into that. Maybe the guy's been a cop a long time. He has a good reputation. His record's clean. He's outstanding. He makes one mistake. And when it comes to the department, maybe they're trying to look out for the guy. As a community, we may look at that like, why does why is there a double standard here? But we are looking at surface level things.
Yeah.
If you look into the guy,
Yeah.
who he is, who he was,
Yeah.
then maybe, you know what, he stepped on his dick, as we say, and maybe he deserves a lesser punishment than a normal guy, right? So there are a lot of factors that go into it, man. Doctors, cops, SF guys, engineers, whoever. There's a lot of factors that we need to look into it. But we as a community, as a society, we see something and we think they're all like that.
Right.
Right. Or we think automatically like, he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You know,
generalize.
And so that guy that killed, I forget his name already, but that guy that killed George Floyd, yeah, he's a piece of shit for fucking putting his knee on his neck for 8 minutes.
8:46.
Yeah. That's a long ass time, bro.
That's too long.
And if the guy's saying he can't breathe or whatever, why are you still have, you know what I mean? If the guy's not moving, then why do you? So there's a lot that goes into it, but like the other 3 cops that were there, they're equally wrong for not stopping that guy.
Absolutely.
But at least the videos that I saw, a couple of the guys were trying to keep the crowd back. Right? So maybe they looked back a couple times or whatever. I'm not going to get into all that. I'm not going to speculate. But all I'm saying is that when it comes to someone who commits a crime or does something wrong, especially when they are a public employee, we shouldn't be so quick to like just put them all in the same boat, man. A lot of people say cops are bad, this and that. You know how many cops are in this country?
Oh yeah. Like you said, 9,000 just in the LAPD.
LAPD has 9,000.
Yeah.
In this country, there's hundreds of thousands of cops.
For sure.
And if you take all the incidents that were wrong, like where innocent people died, that still doesn't make cops the majorly bad. You know what I mean?
This is also the other thing that people don't understand or realize, and I think more people should presence this, but cops, their job is to look for threats. And when that's your job, you're saying work 3 days on, 4 days off, whatever, if that's your job for 3 days to look for threats, that's gotta fuck you up sometimes.
It takes a toll.
It takes a toll. So when a real threat does occur, I'm not saying that it's right, but I'm just saying I can understand the mindset of being overzealous. Not that it's right, but I can understand it. That's hence why they need more funding, more training, psychological training, physical training. But that's really what cops go through, man. Like, if it was I have friends that are cops all the time, and they tell me that it changes them sometimes. The job really does change your mindset sometimes.
When I look at it from a bird eye view, I personally think that the cop who's on the street doing his job, it's not his fault. I think that his leadership fails them.
Right.
I think that their leadership, whatever that chain of command is, fails them. If you are going to give a person, I don't know, what is it for a police academy, like 6 weeks or something, and then you say after 6 weeks you're like, here's your badge, here's your gun, go ahead. What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah.
If you don't follow him up, if you don't do follow-up training, if you don't do follow-up evaluations, if you don't have standards that he needs to meet every month, every week, every day, if you don't have someone who is checking in on this person, hey, how you doing today? How's it going? Whatever. You know what I mean? Like, are you overwhelmed? Is this taking a toll? Like, is there certain levels of PTSD occurring? Who's checking up on this guy? Right. It goes back to when I was talking about SF guys.
Yeah.
SF guys they bust their butts to become a Green Beret.
Absolutely.
You made it to the varsity team.
Yeah.
So when you're on the varsity team and you go overseas and let's say you see some fucked up shit, it fucks you up in the head, and you come back home, a lot of SF guys will be very hesitant to raise their hands and ask for help because in the SF community or the organization, when you raise your hand and you ask for help, they take you off a team. Because at least for the period that you need help or you need to be evaluated, you are non-operational.
Right.
So you're a liability. You may be a liability, not just but to yourself as well. Right. So they pull you off the team.
Yeah.
They pull you off a team. They try to get you some help. In the meantime, they give you a desk job in some S shop, some support shop somewhere. Right. And so nobody wants to raise their hand, bro. Like when you work that long and that hard to make the varsity team, you don't want to sit on the bench. You know what I mean? You want to go do the thing that you're
trained to do.
We're trained to do.
Yeah.
So a lot of guys, and even when you get help, the military sucks at dealing with PTSD, and they suck at helping guys.
Yeah.
So, and I don't care who's listening to this right now, but like, I'll tell you my personal opinion of the military. They suck at helping guys that need help.
It's true.
What they do is they're like, oh, here, go see this doctor.
Yeah.
Cool. The doctor talks to you. Hey, man, like, tell me your symptoms, right? And then the doctor will give you prescribe meds.
This is the VA.
Well, it's not just the VA. It starts at the local unit, because every local unit has their own medical kind of facility or whatever, right? It could be the VA, but it's also anyway. So they hand out prescription meds like it's candy, right? They don't have, and like, who can talk to SF guys about PTSD? You think some doctor who did 8 years in a college is going to come and be able to talk to you about PTSD? Fuck no, man. They haven't seen what you've seen.
Yeah.
But that's who's trying to address it.
Yeah.
They're trying to take the textbook route and like, let's have these professionals who have titles help these guys, even though they've never could understand what these guys have been through.
Yeah.
And so when these guys go talk to these professionals like, hey, this is what I'm going through. I mean, when I did that, I was like, you have no clue what I'm saying right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You have no idea. How do I relate this? How do I articulate this so you understand? And then you're going to tell me like, well, if you're lacking sleep, or if you're tired, or if you're depressed, we'll check in with you, this and that. But here's some meds too.
Yeah. There's no trust. There's no trust. There's no trust there from you and the doctor.
There's no common ground.
Right.
So
how can you respect that?
Yeah.
It
would literally take another SF guy who now is a doctor, who is a psychologist or whoever, to come and talk to you and be like, bro, I've been there, I've done that.
Right.
And now I got the professional training knowledge to help you.
Right.
Or at the minimum, put a bunch of SF group guys in a circle and have them talk it out.
100%. Yeah.
Because then you're in a circle of trust.
Yeah.
Guys who've been there with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
and like they can give you their perspective on how it helps them.
Yeah.
But when you just dish out prescription meds like it's candy, and these guys don't really get the help that they need, what happens is these guys, and they don't raise their hands, and if they do, they're off the team. If they don't, they have to deal with it in their own way. They don't get the meds. I mean, they could probably sneak and be like, oh, I can't sleep. They don't say anything about PTSD. They're like, oh, I just can't sleep. Okay, cool. Go see the doc. The doc gives you some meds to help you sleep or whatever, or some uppers to like, whatever. But like, these guys find their own ways of dealing with it. They go home, they get violent with their families. They start drinking a lot. Maybe they find their own way to drugs. And like, before you know it, man, it leads them to a decision which ultimately takes them away from everybody they loved, and they take their own life.
That's the ugly side of war, right? Not even fighting in war, but preparation of
I mean, my last 5 years at Fifth Group, we had 3 or 4 dudes that took their lives.
Oh, man.
And one of them was I knew the other 3 guys, but one of them was a good friend of mine, man, JD. I'll never forget that guy. He was always like an up-tempo guy, happy, like joking around, But even when he was suffering through all that, there was no flags for me. There was no indicators.
Like he hit it well.
No, he hit it
well. Right. Because he probably didn't want to be off the team, man.
But I knew his wife. I knew his 2 girls.
Yeah.
Like, good dude, man.
Yeah.
And he was a good fucking Green Beret.
Yeah.
But I show up to work one morning like, yo, you hear what happened? I'm like, nah, JD took his life. And like, nobody knew he was going through that. One, he didn't raise his hand because he knew what was going to happen. But 2, he didn't have a healthy outlet. Maybe his wife just wasn't doing it for him. For me, I mean, I know I can't deny that I have PTSD to a certain degree.
Sure.
But I also had a big support. I had a big support network.
Yeah.
And I found ways to talk to people where I could just talk about enough.
Sure.
Where I don't have to get into the gritty details, but just talk about enough where. Like,
at least
it helped me. Unload a little bit of that, And then I surrounded myself with, obviously, just good people, man.
Sure.
And then I found outlets, like healthy outlets. I started going to the gym a lot more.
Yeah.
I stopped drinking. Not that I had a drinking problem ever, but I just didn't feel like drinking anymore.
Sure.
Yeah. I started living a healthier lifestyle. I always wanted to do. I mean, I was always like a firearms instructor and stuff, and and you guys know I do that now. But like, going to the range on my own time outside of classes, that's for me like range therapy, right? Like for us shooters, we say range therapy because it really is. It's therapeutic.
It works.
You go to a range, even if it's you and a couple of guys, you're all doing the same thing.
It works.
And in the moment when you're taking shots, it's you. No one else is talking to you. Just you're doing it. And so it's like in the gym. For me, I get about an hour and a half in the gym, like 4 to 5 days a week. And well, I mean, now that their gyms are open
Sure.
again.
Sure.
But like I've lost a lot of weight since COVID, bro. I dropped like almost 15 pounds.
No
Oh,
shit.
damn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you were actually, dude. Your arms were huge when we're CQB.
Yeah, man. So now I'm like leaned out. I'm like
You're
one,
like-
I'm like 172 right now. I gotta get back to. I was 187
Wow.
before COVID.
Yeah.
But like for me, like going to the gym is therapeutic.
Yeah,
You know, some people go to the gym as like buddies and groups. I like to go to
Yeah.
the gym and just zone out.
for sure.
You know,
Same,
and
same.
and so if you find those kind of healthy out, and my kids, to be
Yeah.
honest, my kids, that's why I moved out of LA.
Yeah.
Moved closer to them, 30 minutes, because I knew I could go see them anytime I wanted. If I
Yeah.
wanted to drop them off at school, I could
Yeah.
go drop them off at school.
Sure,
If I wanted
sure,
to pick them up, I
sure.
could pick them up. You know, and so my kids, you know, those combination of things in my life keep me
Yeah.
how I am.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so I don't spiral down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when I think about everything that I've been through, and the friends that I've lost over time, and it like, dude, it gets me. Sometimes it gets me in a slump.
Yeah.
You know?
I can't imagine. I was gonna say I can imagine. I
Yeah.
cannot imagine that.
It gets
but-
me in a slump, and like it sucks, man.
Well, like I said in the beginning of the podcast, I mean, you have managed to deal with your issues responsibly, and I think that's one of the major reasons why we wanted to showcase who you were on this podcast. You know, it was refreshing to see, in the sense where you're articulate, you know how to carry yourself, but more importantly, I mean, all the shit you've been through, bro. People need to see that it's possible for them. You know,
Yeah.
we have another. We actually have an. He's an athlete for our company. His name is AJ. I mean, he was on here. He spoke about how he almost ended his life twice before he was able to get help from the VA. First couple of times, they're like, you're not in quote unquote in danger of yourself, so we can't technically help you. So he actually actively tried to commit suicide twice. You know, it's all public knowledge. I mean, so I'm not sharing anything intimate. It's on our other podcast, but it's surprising to see guys like that who give their lives to protect America, obviously overseas, and when they actually need the help or seek the help, they don't get it. So I think it's just that much more important that people know your story somewhat, you know, because I think, you know, we only have about an hour or so with you, but it's important for them to see that there is a responsible way to handle it, and you can come out the other side a lot better.
Yeah, for sure, man. I think just on the VA aspect, I would say probably 5 years ago, the VA was terrible. I mean, nobody, like the vets that were out could barely get through to the VA, to an actual person on the VA. Like the support system was bad. People were backed up on appointments. Like you couldn't even see your primary care physician, let alone get an actual special consultation to whoever you're trying to go see.
Yeah.
But I would say that in the last couple of years, the VA has really improved
Yeah.
a lot of what they're trying to do, man. I've had, honestly, nothing but good experiences with the VA. And I came to LA, like, I heard all the scary stories. They were like, bro, good luck. Especially in LA,
Yeah.
forget about it. You know, and I was like, so I came here, I was like, wow, bro, this is gonna be just be
Interesting.
the worst. But surprisingly, man, from the day one of me going to enroll and register at the VA clinic here to even now, it's been nothing but positive. And
Nice.
I hope that I'm not the only one that feels that way. I hope that a lot of vets are getting that same kind
Sure.
of experience, you
Sure.
know, at least now. But
Sure.
yeah, man, like I would say 4 or 5 years ago, it was really bad. So the VA doesn't need a lot of work, but I think the VA got looked at real hard
Yeah.
a couple years ago.
Yeah.
You know, and they had to make some changes, and
Yeah.
people were like getting fired and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, which rightfully so, man.
Yeah. Rightfully
you know,
so.
But
Well, before we end this podcast, let's round it out, man. How are you nowadays? What are you up to, man? I know you got the Moose's store. Talk about a little bit about that if you want.
oh man, the Moose store. So
And you're also training, obviously training.
yeah, so I
civilians.
run two companies. Obviously, I've been running Two Alpha Training Group for a while now. I started that company even before I got out of the military. And now we have expanded. I have 2 instructors here in California that I've taken under my wing, and they're doing really well. And I have 2 instructors out in the Midwest that I need to work with a little bit more. But as far as like the company's grown quite a bit, man. We went from like little hodgepodge classes that I would announce on Instagram, you know, and hopefully fill, you know, to legit, like, you know, contracts and stuff
that's awesome.
with LE agencies and stuff like that. And other venues that we've been invited to. So the company's grown quite a bit. And it takes a lot of my time. It's my favorite part of what I do. That's for sure. I love teaching. I love being on the range with people and learning from them as much as they learn from me and doing that. And then the Musa store is a company that I started about, I want to say 3 years ago. And I had the help of 2 other military guys. And so we're all co-owners. But the aspect of that store was to have a curated place where you could go find stuff that works, right? Tactical gear that works. We didn't want to turn into like a Walmart of tactical gear, like a Brownells or something like that, where you just go get lost in a bunch of junk. Yeah, we wanted to cherry pick certain things from every company, Safariland, Surefire, Wilder. I mean, whoever, right? To bring on, and now. But I started that company with a couple T-shirts. So I had a T-shirt. I have the Right to Bear Arms T-shirt with that bear with the armless bear with the AR on the ground. It's basically the California flag. And then we did like pistol fundamentals and rifle fundamentals. So and the T-shirt was just to kind of get the name out there. Yeah, because everybody loves T-shirts. But then we went from T-shirts to quickly like going to tactical gear and bringing on all these vendors. And if you guys look at the store now, it's grown quite a bit.
Oh yeah, I was on it the other day.
We have everybody on the store. I mean, awesome. And if we don't have them on the store currently, we're probably talking to them. The Musa store is my vision for the Musa store is to kind of make it the tactical REI, right, where you can go get the best stuff. But I don't want to stop there. I want the tactical aspect of the store to be one corner of the virtual store. And so we're about to get into the outdoors industry.
Nice.
Cool.
We're about to get into the fitness industry.
Hey, let's go.
So
I love it, man. I love it, bro.
Yeah. Hustling. So we're talking to companies that like Big Agnes and JetBoil and like these companies that make the outdoor industry. You know what I mean? Everything from like your car tents, that you can mount on top of your vehicles to like lighting and sleeping bags, everything like that. And then also at the same time, we're getting into the fitness industry. Nice. So we're going to bring on like a lot of fitness equipment. We're talking to Rogue and XD Fit.
Nice.
And then we're also going to look at kind of the apparel that supports those industries. So we're growing, man. We're growing. And I have a good team, My job for the Musa store now is just to be the face and voice of the company. But I don't do anything operational wise. I really don't, man. We brought on some really smart people to be the CEO and the COO, the CFO. Like we brought on the really smart people to be those titles and do that so that myself and like my 2 business partners can kind of chill out and look at the bigger picture. But that's really that's the Musa store. I mean, the musastore.com if you want to check it out. Yeah. And we try to have the lowest prices for everything. You want a Surefire light or a Safariland holster, we try to drop our prices as low as we can.
Right on, man.
Yeah, man. Otherwise, 2alphatraininggroup.com. And in fact, I say the website, but the website isn't even live yet.
Get that going.
I know. But what you can do is go to 2alphatraininggroup.com and sign up for the newsletter. So cool. You can put your email in there or whatever, and then as soon as it goes live, we'll get things up and running for you. But that's it. And then all my collaborations for social media, man. Working with Glock is a blessing. Working with some of these other bigger companies is a blessing.
Where can they find you on IG?
So Kawa_M_official. That is my main account. It was too out for the quit, but I changed it because I'm trying to get that blue check mark from Facebook, but Facebook just hates us.
They hate the 2A community.
They hate us, man. They hate us. But one of the requirements was it needs to represent my name.
Sure.
Only celebrities get away with that stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
So I changed it, although I have a backup account. But that's where you can find me.
Right on.
YouTube channel is 2 Alpha the Quit. Facebook is 2 Alpha the Quit. The podcast is the 2 Alpha Collective Podcast.
Nice.
So, maybe I'll get you guys on there sometime.
Bro.
That'd be dope.
Yeah. And I'm trying to get a little more routine on that, but right now there's a couple episodes that are cool. Pretty cool episodes that go check out. Cool. So that's it, man.
All right, awesome.
Well, thank you so much for making time to come down, man. You're one of my most favorite people in 2A community. Keep doing your thing. You crushing it, bro. And I love hearing your story. Hopefully, we can make some more time later on down the line sometime to check in with you and see how you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Thank you so much for having me. I had fun, man.
Appreciate it.
No, it was a good chat for sure. It flowed. I loved it. It was a long time coming because we've been trying to schedule this
Yes,
for a while.
bro. I've been trying to get him for like 6 months.
I know. You've been telling me.
But I'm glad we finally made it happen, man. And maybe, come back and make a round 2 sometime.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, bro.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, brother.
Thank you, Kawa.
Cool.
You are now entering the vlogcast.